here, and welcome to my addition to the Crafting Together with All Brands admin blog hop for May 2022, and our theme is spring flowers. If you take a look below in my information box, you'll find a link to everybody else who's taking part. So we've got Lynette from Pretty Gets Gritty, we've got Lou Sims from Shady Designs, Julia from JMC Design, loads of people. Just definitely go and have a look and see what they're all up to. And if you'd like to subscribe to me, that would be absolutely brilliant. And please make sure that you subscribe to everybody else who's taking part as well. So our theme this month is spring flowers, and I've made a book. I know, surprising, isn't it? Anyway, what I've done is I've kind of scaled up a book that we've previously made some years ago now, which is called The Small Shabby Mini, and it's got a really neat little binding system in it. So what I'm going to do after I've shown you the book is we're going to get together and I'm going to show you exactly how I made it. So the papers that I've used are Simple Stories Full Bloom, which are available at the moment in all good retailers, and this book measures 5 1/4, I think, by 5 1/4. So it's a good size for putting 3 by 4 inch photos in, and you could put maybe 4 by 4 Instagram photos in as well. Oh yeah, my finger. If you're going to carry on watching, I will warn you that there is blood at a later point. So not a lot, but you know, it's there. I know. And Mark was here as well, and I still managed. Anyway, spring flowers. I chose these papers deliberately because they're just so perfect for the theme. So when you open up, what we've got here is a little pocket with lots and lots of photo mats in there for us to put some photos on. And then for the rest of the book, these are 4 by 4, and the rest of the book I've used 3 by 2. And you'll see here that what I've done is that the pages are quite short compared to the width of the book, but I've added on a lot of fussy cut flowers and images from the papers just to kind of give you a bit of a 3D effect as you look through. And here you just get a little idea about that rather strange binding that I described to you. And the pages are held in by some of these cut aparts, but dead easy to do. And like I said, I will take you through how to do that. You'll see on the edge of each of the pages I've done some fussy cutting, and I've added up some of my flowers onto bits of chipboard just to high them up and give a little bit of texture to the book. Okay, so you get the idea. We've got all of our pages in here, and these are attached with these cut aparts. Okay, so that's the book, just to give you a little example. So I think what we'll do now is we will get on and I will show you how to put it together. Okay, so let's get going on our making. I'm going to be using Simple Stories Full Bloom papers, and even though I probably don't need all of these sheets, I've chosen the cut aparts, I've chosen the Simply Spring with the birds, I've got this lovely flowery piece, I have got, oops, over here, this one with the gorgeous rainbows on as well. But before we get on with our pattern paper, the first thing we need to do is cut our covers, and I'm going to be using some grey board for that, some 1500 micron, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces at 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 inches. So let me just grab my trimmer, and I'm going to cut 2 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. Okay, now I'm going to have a think about which pattern paper I want to use on my covers, and I think I am going to use a mixture of perhaps this one and definitely the flowers, but I need to have a think about which one I'm going to use for my spine, and I think I'm going to go for this one because I really like it. So I need you to cut now. I need you to cut one at 5 1/4 by 2.5 inches. Now the 5 1/4 needs to be the height, so do bear that in mind if you have got directional papers. So cut at 5 1/4 by 2.5 inches. Okay, so you can put your trimmer away, get out your scoreboard. And what we're going to do now is we are going to score our hinges. So to do that, what I want you to do is I want you to score on the 2.5 inch side. That means putting the 2.5 inches at the top. And I want you to score at 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, and 2 inches. So basically what you're doing here is you're making your spine into a bit of a curve, and that's going to happen quite naturally as you put this through the scoreboard. It's going to have a bit of a curve on it. Then what we need to do is attach it to the front cover up to where that first score line is. So if I grab my glue and just put it up to that first score line, let's just pop that on there like that. And then I'm going to add my cover up to that first score line there like that. And then I'm going to do exactly the same with the other side. So just put some glue there. I'm going to use my mat just to make sure that everything is completely flat, but I'm going to pop that on there like that. Line that up, and that is going to make my book cover. Okay, but what we need to do now is decorate it. So what am I going to put on the front? Well, I'm still in two minds, but I think I'm going to go decisions. Maybe with the flowers and the bees. No, I'm not. I'm going to go with this one. So I know that this is 5 1/4 square. So if I cut my covers at say 6 1/4, that one there, and I think I'll put the same on the back. Let's have a look and see what I've got here. Is that going to be wide enough? Not quite. I think I'll just grab another piece of that. So I'm going to cut that at 6 1/4 inches square. And I'm going to use those as my front and back cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of my double-sided tape, and I am going to cover the front and the back of my cover for my book in the tape like that. Now, they don't have to be perfectly close together. Because all this is going to do is kind of make sure that the paper stays on the front. It doesn't have any structural use exactly. Now you'll notice that I'm not going all the way up to the score line with my double-sided tape. And the reason for that is I want to make sure that I've got a really, really, really good adhesion there. So I'm going to mix glue with my double-sided tape for that area. So there we go. So I've got my double-sided tape on there. If I just grab my bone folder, let's just stick those down. Now I'm going to just take the tape off the front. Like that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a piece of my cover paper. I'm going to put some double-sided tape down here, like that. But I'm going to fortify, shall we say, this with a little bit of wet glue. So I'm going to put some wet glue up into that edge there. So now I'm going to lay this down and make sure that this lines up with the edge of my grey board, like that. And make sure that that's stuck down really well. And now I'm going to do exactly the same on the back piece. Ooh. This is the sort of thing you need nails for, and I haven't got any. So I'm going to do exactly the same on the back. Some glue. Make sure that this is going to be the right way up. And stick that exactly on the edge there, like that. Okay. Make sure that's stuck down. Okay, so now I want to cover the rest of this board. So I'm just going to mitre that corner there like that. Same on both sides. I'm going to fold these over. Pop a little bit of double-sided tape on there just to hold it whilst it glues. I like to do the edge pieces first, the end bits. Don't know why, I just do. And now I'm going to fold over these bottom pieces. and you need to do the same on the front and the back. Okay, make sure that's stuck down well. And then the final piece, fold that over. Okay, so once we've done this, what we're going to do is work on our pages. So if you want to put that to one side to dry, there you go, that's the cover done. You want to put that to one side to dry, we'll get our trimmers out and we will start to cut our pages. So what we need to do next is cut 6 at 5 by 8 inches. So there's 2. Three. And here's our nice Mayflowers. Go. And what you have now is a choice. You can either score right down the middle or just fold it in half. So if you take each of your pages, here we go, and score down the middle at 4 inches. So you're scoring on the 8-inch side. There we go. And then I want you to fold each one in half on the score line and just burnish that really well. Okay, so these are going to be our 5 pages. So once you've done that, we are going to cut our binding system. So I want you to cut 2 at 8 by 2 inches. Okay, and then once you've done that, I want you to grab your trimmer again. Okay, so you need to get your scoreboards out and you need to score on the 8-inch side. So that's put 8 inches at the top. You need to score at 1, 2, 3, 3 and 1/8, 4 and 1/8, 5 and 1/8, 5 and 1/4, 6 and 1/4, and 7 and 1/4 inches, and that is the same on both pieces. So score on the 8-inch side at 1, 2, 3, 3 and 1/8, 4 and 1/8, 5 and 1/8, 5 and 1/4, 6 and 1/4, and 7 and 1/4 inches. Okay, so now what we need to do is make these into hinges. So where we've got the inch gap in between our scores, what we're going to do is we're going to fold those into hinges. So I'm going to start off, we've got our first hinge here that we scored at 1 inch. That is going to be the wing that actually attaches to the book. So then we'll fold up like that and then back down like that to form a hinge. Now this 1/8 of an inch down here, that's actually a gusset. So we're going to fold that as if it's like a valley fold. And then we're going to fold again to make another hinge. So what we've got essentially is where this attaches to our book, then we've got a hinge made out of those 2 pieces, an 1/8 of an inch gusset, then we've got another hinge, then we've got another 1/8 of an inch gusset, and then we've got another hinge. Now just hold on to this piece here for a minute because we're going to have to use that to attach these 2 hinges together. Okay, so what we've got here are 3 like little hinges with 1/8 of an inch gussets, and we're going to fold this one in exactly the same way. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start gluing, but I'm just going to make sure that my creases are really sharp. So I'm just going to use my bone folder just to crease on each of those hinges. And just make sure that my gussets are sharp too. Okay, so now I've made sure that those creases are really sharp. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start to glue these hinges together. So I'm going to start with this first hinge and I'm going to glue that like that. So if you remember, this is our wing, which attaches to our book. And then we've got this hinge, which we've just glued together. So I've put glue on the inside of that hinge. Then we've got a gusset of 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to put some glue inside that hinge there. Like that. Then I've got another 1/8 of an inch gusset. I'm going to put some more glue inside that hinge and glue that down too. So what I've got here are 3 hinges with 1/8 of an inch between them. And I'm just going to go over those again just to make sure that they're stuck down really well. Okay, so this is where it's going to attach to my book. And then I've got 3 hinges and those 2 gussets there. And I'm going to be doing exactly the same with this one. So I want to just use my bone folder just to make sure I'm getting a really good crease. And then in the gussets as well. And then I'm going to glue that back down. So I'm going to glue those hinges together. Okay, so now I've got 2 sets of hinges and I want them to have both of these 1-inch wings at either side. Now what we need to do is attach them together in the middle. So I'm going to cut this down to 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to do it by sight because I'm pretty certain I know what 1/8 of an inch is by now. So I'm just going to cut that down to 1/8 of an inch. Straight would be brilliant. And I'm going to glue this onto there like that. Just cut this bit down a little. And I'm going to glue one on top of the other like that. So what I get is another 1/8 of an inch gusset. I don't know if you can see that there. So let me just glue that. Like that. Okay, so what I've got now is I've got my hinge system, which has got 6 hinges and then 1/8 of an inch gussets in between. So if we grab our cover, what we want to do now is attach these hinges right across the middle of the book like that. So I'm just going to put some glue on either side. I'm just going to eyeball where the middle is because we do have a little bit of wriggle room. And I'm going to put my hinge on the middle there. So it's bouncy. We're not attaching it to the back spine here. We're just attaching it by those 2 wings there to the card. Like that. You see, we haven't attached it underneath here. We've only attached it to this card here. And then what I want to do is I want to put some covering on top here. Now we're going to put quite a simple sort of pocket on here, but what I want to do is just cover this bit here. So can't find my ruler. Let's just have a look. What was it? 5 1/4. Yep. So I'm going to cut those about 5 inches by 4 inches. So 5 is the width. Let's do that at 4. See if that's wide enough. Yeah, do that at 4. And then I'm going to glue this on top here over there like that, going right up to this edge as near as possible. So let's glue that on there like that. Same over the other side. Like that. Okay, and now we need to make a simple pocket to go across the bottom here. Five and a quarter. So I'm going to cut those at, let's have a look. Six and a quarter. I'm going to cut 2 at 6 1/4 by 3. Okay, let's put that to one side. Scoreboard. I'm going to score on the 6 1/4 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 5 3/4 inch, and then on the 3 inch side at 1/2 inch. So what I've got here is a really, really simple pocket shape. Let's do that again. We're going to score on the 6 1/4 inch side at 1/2 inch and at 5 3/4 inch, and then on the 3 inch side at 1/2 inch. Okay. Now I'm just going to miter these corners. So instead of going straight across here, I'm actually going to snip up to where the score lines intersect, change the angle of my scissors and give it a bit of a kink, because when you come to fold it and put it on your book, it gives you a much cleaner line underneath the pocket. Then you don't get any weird bulges in it. Okay. So let's fold on those score lines. Right, glue onto that flap and then pop this at the very bottom down there. That will fit exactly side to side. On the bottom of that page. And it's the same over here as well. Now, I've just realised that I've told you to cut 5 pages when actually you need 6. So before we get on with getting our pages ready to go on the binding, I'm just going to cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 more page. Which was 5 by 8. And I'm just going to fold that in half. Okay, now what we have to do with our pages is we have to cut a little slit into the fold there. So we know that our pages are 5 inches. Our binding is 2, so that leaves 3 inches. So we need to measure 1.5 inches from the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to grab myself a ruler, a pencil and a knife. So I'm going to take my first page, and on this middle fold here, I am going to measure down 1.5 inches and make a little mark. Not that little mark. I'm going to mark 1.5 inches up from the bottom. So you can see here that what I've got is 2 little marks. One's enough. And I'm going to take my ruler and my knife, and I am going to cut between those 2 pencil marks right along the fold there, like that. Now that should be 2 inches. Let's have a look. Yeah. Okay, so now I've cut a slit. There we go. Can you see that? I've cut a slit into my page, and I'm going to do the same with all of them. So on that middle fold, I'm going to measure 1.5 inches from the top and 1.5 inches from the bottom, and I'm going to use my knife and I'm going to cut right down that spine there. Just cut myself. I'm using my safety ruler. Okay, so I've got a hole there as well, and I'm going to do that on all 5 pieces. 6 pieces. Oh, I really did cut my finger. Any chance of a plaster, dear? Yes. Thank you. I'm going to have to put a disclaimer on this now. Don't watch if the sight of blood bothers you. Okay, so I'm going to cut that down the spine. And then the final one, 1.5 inches up from the bottom, 1.5 inches down from the top. And let's just cut that down there like that. Okay. So before I go any further and actually attach my binding to my pages, I'm going to take these cutter parts and I'm going to cut them apart, because these are going to form a really, really, really important part of the binding. Okay, and the last one. Okay, right, I can put my trimmer away for a minute. And what I'm going to do now is grab my cover. So this will all fold up nicely now when it's shut, because of course we haven't attached this to anything. This is just as it is. So what we're going to do now is we are going to attach our pages. So we need to decide what order we want them in. So let's have a look. Make sure they're the right way up. Okay. Hang on while I get the plaster. Okay. Top. Okay, so now I've decided which order I want to put my pages in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my page, and you know it's got this slit here that we cut in the middle. That is going to, and we might have to slightly fiddle with it and make the slit slightly longer, but that slit is where we are going to put that hinge. Okay, so that is going to go through there like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of these pages in turn, and we're going to slip the pages onto the hinge like that. Okay. So when you're putting your page in, you're going to put it as far down the hinge as you can. So it's going to be kind of level with the bottom of the hinge. Like that. Right, so that is how our pages go into our book. Now, at the moment, these are just going to fall out if we do anything remarkable with them. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our cutter parts and we are going to glue them onto this hinge like that. So what I want to do is just decide which two cutter parts I want together. Make sure that they are both the same size because that's ever so slightly out. So let's just trim that a little. And I'm going to put some glue onto that hinge. And I'm going to stick my cutter part onto the hinge like that. So I've still got a bit of a gap there. I don't know if you can see that. There's still a bit of a gap because that looks nice. Let's try and keep that straight. Let's turn that over. And then we're going to attach the back of the cutter part, the other one, to the back and hinge of that one there. So let's make sure that it fits exactly on top like that. So that cutter part is going to form us another kind of little page, but that is what's going to hold our page onto the hinges. Okay, so we've got a little gusset there, and then we've got our next page. So let's have a look and see what we've got. Make sure they're both the same size. And exactly the same procedure again. So some glue onto that hinge. Pop that down like that. Make sure it's all straight. Turn it over and glue on the back. Okay, so there we go. There's another page. Now they are a little bit wobbly, obviously, because of the nature of the binding, but that's totally cool. I think that's what kind of adds a bit of charm to it. So now we've got this one. Let's have a look. Okay, turn that over. Pop that on there. There we go. Next page. Let's trim that down a little. There we go. next to put that on top. And then the final page So once you've got it all together like this, now you can go away and decorate. So you can make tags to go in your pockets. You can decorate the edges of the pages because you've got quite a lot of room between the edge of the page and the edge of the book. You see here. And that for me was so that I could open it up and have all my cascades of flowers, etc. down there. But you get the idea. This is how the book goes together. You've got loads of room for like 3 by 4 inch photos. You've got lots of room for extra bits of embellishment and decoration. But it's a really quick and easy little book that goes together just to use up some of your scraps. So I hope you've enjoyed my part of the blog hop. Don't forget to go and visit the other admin from Crafting Together with All Brands. Join the group on Facebook as well. If you want to subscribe to me, you can do that below. And I will see you in June, if not before, with our next blog hop. Thanks for joining me. Bye.